This conference will now be recorded.
Thus far, she didn't sound that good. I was not betting on her being online when I talked to her. She didn't sound great.
No, she didn't sound.
I'll try to turn these onto the thing.
Somebody is, yeah. I just be helpful. Well, they were talking about wanting to do that. Oh, you might sound like that's Garrett. We heard his when he's healed. Heard his name. Heard his name was Amanda. She was just asking me if my water meter was a new one or an old one at the house. So, oh, it is? Because Kyle just plugs in to read it. That's still the old ones, okay.
Yep.
I'm still on the old one.
If you had a new one, you'd never see it.
Oh, it'd be all done from
Yep.
here, huh?
I have coat jealousy right now. Eric didn't forward it, or Ginger didn't forward Eric's report. So we'll put that back in the packet.
Yeah, she passed me. It's like when I see Richard Rose, I did know. Yeah, she's like, I saw this. Oh, my gosh. Oh, am I in your way? Oh. Absolutely. Thank you.
It was in there. It was, and I just missed it. Okay, thank you. I read it online, but I didn't. Did you want them? That's what there was.
You can just pass that around, yeah, because I don't.
Initials the last time I was here, I was like, what are they talking about? Okay,
Wait for a ginger.
Yeah, I take up in, I told you, every, I said next week we can start. Try to, understand. Monday is, Miranda, I'll understand.
She's dead.
Next week, we're waiting. Oh, we can see the showers.
All right, I think we're all here as far as we're going to be here. Commissioner Palmerton will not be joining us this evening. So we'll begin with interviewing candidates for the appointed commission seat. So this fall, there was election. There were for 3 seats. Only 2 people applied for the seats. So therefore, the commission will choose to appoint the third position. Now, because of it being an appointment, it's not a full 4-year appointment. It is a 2-year to 2025. And then in 2025, so that we stay on the cycle, that seat will be a 2-year seat, not a 4-year seat. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. So that's where that's at. So you have 2 years of joy ahead. All right, I'll let the commission begin with either candidate. You want to draw straws? John's nodding. He's looks like he's ready. All right. So we'll go have you step up to the mic. They'll ask you some questions. We'll let the public ask you some questions, and then we'll swap spots.
Turn your mic on, please, John.
Is that on?
No, the red, just.
There it is.
There we
I
go.
have to hold it for a second.
Nikki, I'm not sure yours is on, is it?
Tell me about yourself and what is your background after you identify yourself.
Yeah. My name is John Way. I live here in Ennis. I've lived here for about 12 years. I have a degree from the University of Montana up in Missoula. I started guiding to put myself through college. After college, had a choice, either continue guiding or go back for a master's degree. I put the master's degree off for 2 years, and that was almost 30 years ago. I ran the largest outfitting business in the state of Montana, associated with a guest ranch resort near Missoula, had about 120 employees at one time. Got out of that business, did the consulting thing, opened a high-end hunting lodge in South Dakota and one in Texas. Did that for a couple of years. The consulting thing, going around opening high-end hunting and fishing lodges. Wanted to get back and stay in Montana, and the tackle shop came for sale, and so I bought that about 12 years ago. Moved here, married my wife here in Ennis, and we run that business and a couple other businesses, a property management business and an outfitting business out of Ennis since then. Live in downtown Ennis and plan to stay here for quite a while.
Why do you think you're the best person for the job?
You know, about 10 years ago, the governor asked me to step up and serve on the Montana Board of Outfitters. The previous governor did. And I did that, and then he appointed me to chairman there. And in that time, I've been lucky enough to pass legislation, got reappointed to the chairman role from the new governor, and served on transition teams, and I'm an advisor to the current governor. And in that time, I've learned what government's all about. I was brand new to it, and I also believe that government starts at the local level. I've never been involved. I've always been involved in the state level with government. And I believe, number one, I love Ennis, but more important, I believe that there are decisions that this town has got to make that are going to dictate the next 50 years, whether it's prosperity or not. And I don't mean prosperity. I mean thriving or not. There's some big decisions on the horizon, and I believe good leadership trumps big decisions. And I believe I can help do that. And so I just think now's the time for me to step up and try to help.
So, John, are you own or running or managing how many businesses right now?
The tackle shop, Montana Way Outfitters, and my wife runs the property management company.
You think you have enough time to?
Yeah.
For the commission?
Yeah, I'm always here in Ennis. I mean, I love it, and I've thought long and hard about it. I was approached several times over the last couple of years to run for this position, and I've turned it down, and I've thought about it, and I thought that now's the time that I can dedicate to do this, and I feel like I have to do this.
Is there a particular reason why now?
You know, I just think that I look at the future, and I think there's some huge challenges on the horizon that we have got to solve. And if we solve those, it's going to set Ennis up for the next 50 years to be successful. And, you know, I've never wanted to criticize without being part of the solution. And so, you know, I just believe that now is a time where I have to step up and be part of that solution.
I have one more question. So,
Yeah.
What do you think is probably the biggest issue facing the town right now?
You know, I mean, we have, you know, from what I've seen, crumbling ancient infrastructure. Um, uh, we're running out of money. We don't have money to do a lot of the things that we want to do. And you know, lots of people moving here. Home values are such that people who live here and want to work here can't afford to. And so we have to understand what growth is and how to manage that growth effectively. Because if we don't, you know, Ennis is going to turn into something we don't like. But if we do a really good job with strong leadership and manage that growth going forward, I think Ennis can really thrive and would be a great place to be in 50 years from now. But I think those decisions are coming up on this town in the next 5 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the commission?
We ask any questions we want.
Should ask the same questions of all your candidates.
Where do you stand with the resort tax?
You know, that's a great issue. And there's some caveats to the resort tax. I believe the town line, you know, if you just did it along the town line, then it doesn't work, because why would somebody pay a resort tax in downtown and a half a mile away not have to pay that resort tax? If you did like a TIF area or something like that where it includes everything, all the businesses, all in the entire area, I could probably get behind that. But if it was just on what the town line is right now, I think that's a lot tougher sell and a heavier lift to get in place.
So ultimately, you think create a district? And
Yes.
Any other questions you'd like to ask those candidates?
That's it.
So then I'll let
Thank you.
public ask questions.
Oh, sorry. I was wondering if you have a family.
It's me, my wife, and a couple of dogs. And I have a couple of chickens too.
You have grown children, no children?
No children. No, our dogs are our children.
Other questions? We'll have to grab the other mic.
Anybody?
I just came in and just a quick recap. No, I don't, I'm sorry, I tried to get here on time, I just couldn't. What, are you running for a position?
Yes,
What board?
this one here.
Oh, okay, gotcha, good deal. That's all I needed to know. Okay, sorry.
Anything else?
Any other questions from public for Mr. Way?
Go ahead, Lisa.
Sorry.
Thank you for putting your name in. So, and to both of the candidates for that. It takes a lot to want to be a part of local government and to be a public servant. So thank you. My question is based on your time with the state government and serving on those boards, do you feel that you have a strong grasp on parliamentary procedure and the basic governance of a board?
That's a good question. Thank you. Absolutely, I do. I've run meetings at the legislature. I've run the Board of Outfitters, which is housed in the legislature building. It's all done by Robert's Rules of Order. I've been the chairman there for 7 years. And on those meetings, we have to run a fairly tight ship and run it pretty close to Robert's Rules of Order because we're always worried about if we don't, our decisions becoming invalidated by legal means if we don't do that. So I've had to learn the first couple meetings. I was like, what in the heck is going on here? And so I made a study of it and really learned it a bunch and have had to put it in place in my chairman role there for the last 7 years.
Any other questions? Any from online for Mr. Way? All right, it looks like nothing from online, so we will trade candidates. Thank you.
My name is Mitch Abernethy. I'm a CPA. I've been a CPA for over 20 years. I am currently the Executive Vice President of Finance, HR, and Learning at Western CPE in Four Corners. My husband and I also own Big Boys Toys in Four Corners. He runs it. I just do the books in my off time. I have a history working in a civil servant type position, which is what this is considered. I was mayor of the officers' housing units in Augusta, Georgia, when my ex-husband was in the Army at Fort Gordon. I was the mayor there for 6 years. I've dealt with not issues as great as this. I didn't have to worry about roads, but I did have to worry about the grounds maintenance and the residents there and what their needs were and whether they were being met or not. I've served as controllers for several different kinds of businesses, not as the owner, but as an employee. I have made large decisions that cannot be taken lightly. So I have a lot of experience researching and doing my due diligence before I make a decision. I'm a detail-oriented person, so I tend to go a little bit overboard on my pros and cons, and I might take a little bit longer to make a decision than most. But I feel like when I've made the decision, I can stand by it. And that's the only other thing I can say is I served on the board of directors for a daycare center in Augusta as well. They provide for a church, for a local church. So that was volunteer. Currently on the board of directors for Western CPE as well. There's only 5 of us, but it is a meeting type situation. I am very versed in conducting meetings and asking in-depth questions and trying to settle my mind on what I can understand. So that's where I am at.
That basically answered my first question, but I guess I would need to ask a different question.
The same questions you posed before.
I feel like that one just answered 1 and 2.
I mean, this is a unique situation. You guys are brother and sister, correct?
In-law.
Okay, right. So could I ask a question regarding how these two would get along?
Did you ask him how he's going to do it? Did you ask Mr. Way?
Yes. Yeah, if you're gonna, I agree with that. And I don't have a problem answering that. Craig and I are both quiet people. I'm very introspective as he is. I don't foresee a problem. I see him mainly on holidays and every once in a while in town. Honestly, he does work at Big Boys Toys, but I do not. So it's, I understand the concern. But being a CPA too, I also understand confidentiality.
But your son also works for the town, is that correct?
He does. He works in the Public Works Department with Eric.
Okay, I'll go. Time-wise, with Western CPE and doing books for Big Boys Toys and other things, do you think you'd have enough time to devote?
I do. If I understand, it's a day or two a month. I do have my Sundays free.
Okay, so what do you think is the biggest issue facing the town?
I agree that the infrastructure is a problem. I also agree that we are looking at some exponential growth that needs to be addressed. And in a small town, growing exponentially, that's a very difficult task to handle. I believe that with the town's input and with a lot of due diligence on the council and the mayor's part, we can tackle those issues without hopefully causing too much of an uproar in our community. Just takes a lot of planning, a lot of organization, and a long-term goal.
Where do you stand with the resort tax?
The resort tax is interesting. I would have to look more into how Montana law would allow us to use that tax, if we can discriminate or not. And in my experience in the government, you can't discriminate. So I do understand the position of the town population, that they don't want to be paying a tax just because people come here. If there's a way that we can do it fairly and not impact our total population in a negative way, I believe it is an option. But I would like to explore all options before making a decision.
All right, questions from the public? Oh, actually, Is that our Brandy in line?
Yes, I'm here.
Sorry. So Commissioner Balmerton is online. Do you have any questions?
No, not at the moment. The question I was gonna ask was already asked.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any questions from public?
Has your attorney had any questions about 3 family members working for the town? Yes.
Mr. Greenbaum, do you have any question about 3 members working for the town? Well, how would
I
2
I
or not?
I don't have any questions, and, you know, I'd be reluctant to just give you an opinion on the fly here this evening. I think there are some considerations. There, you know, perhaps ethical considerations that could arise. But just because you have people that are related, that's not a prohibition from a person gaining employment or, you know, an official capacity on the commission.
Thank you.
They'll all be Italians.
Do you think you would struggle at a time like when the budget comes around, knowing the budget is something that's going to affect your son personally? How would you fairly be able to?
Well, my understanding is the department is the one that puts together their budget and you just approve it or do not approve it. I would not be in charge of allocating wages in any way, shape, or form. And as someone who works in HR, I can be tough. I don't have a problem saying no. I don't have a problem saying yes when the time is right, but I definitely do not have a problem saying no.
Okay, but you're on the governing body who approves the budget,
Correct.
so that wouldn't affect your,
But I would not be in a position to have input on what his budget has for wages. I would just be on the backside asking questions. Why are we raising these? Yes, it would just be questions to his department head.
Any questions from online? All right.
I'll just add this, Nikki. I just did a quick Google search here, and again, I'm not offering this as an official opinion on the matter, but I'll just read to you what, you know, general definition of conflicts of interest is in government. It would be, I'll just read it. Broad category of conflicts of interest pertain to participation in a decision by government in which the public official or a family member or domestic partner stands to benefit personally or financially. Decisions would include broad policy or legislative actions or routine decision-making in government. So with that in mind, I would suggest that any participation in the budget where her son stands to benefit from an increase in the Public Works Department might financially benefit a family member, and therefore she might have to recuse herself in that decision. So might not be able to participate even in the budget process, broadly speaking then. Other potential conflicts also could arise if there was, let's say, on the table, a big infrastructure improvement project that involved coordination with Public Works, and there were specific benefits to the family member by awarding a contract, even though the contract is to a third party, there might be a benefit to the family member. So, with that in mind, I'm not saying that she's disqualified, but would have to proceed in a very prudent manner.
Thank you, James. Question from Eric.
Alex works for me. I don't, Alex works for us. I don't see him gaining or losing anything out of this or anywhere. That's my opinion. It doesn't matter if we're using the same old equipment or brand new equipment. Alex is still going to work here. I don't see what the problem is. That's my thoughts.
Any other questions for Mrs. Abernathy?
How long did you say you would live here? I'm sorry. 4.5 years. And I live in Ennis off First Street. This is my retirement home.
Any other questions? All right, the question part is closed.
Thanks, Vic.
And now we're to, I guess I'll open it for any general public comment on the matter for 3 calls of that, and then to the commission to discuss. So, public comment. Second call. Any public comment from on? All right, seeing none of that, I will move it to the commission to discuss.
We're going there.
We can't.
Why?
There have been several hearings recently, including the state choosing attorneys in which they chose to do that, and the district court or the court has ruled that that is not acceptable for choosing public officials, like attorney.
When did they finalize that?
They interviewed, but they also made their decision.
Would it be easier if the candidates stepped up?
Mayor Nikki, can you repeat that? Mayor?
So there have been several cases recently in public officials having discussions and making the discussion not in the public view. There was the interviews with the attorneys at the state level, and then I guess the Conrad case is extreme, but that's another one.
Can you move the meeting into executive session and you guys just do it?
Not posted.
Not what I'm saying.
It's not posted. It's closed.
So could we just have those guys go into the other room?
They can watch it later.
I don't really care, but I just, we have not.
So, Mayor Nikki, is the issue before the commission right now in this public meeting that there's a concern that some people want to move some of the discussion into a private setting so that the
commission.
Previously, when we have appointed people, the commission members that are deciding go into the other room and discuss. And we're doing it differently this time, so I was just wondering why it was different.
The last couple of times, then there was a subcommittee of commissioners that did the interviews, and then they made a recommendation. That's how I was appointed, and I believe that's how Jason was appointed.
But since then, it's been public, just like this.
So,
And then we could go back there.
For Craig and Tina, they did go with the other.
And
Correct.
yes.
Okay, when it's time to let you guys out. Push that button and come on.
I'll let him out.
I think they're both great candidates. I just feel that there is a conflict. It's just it's a lot. And to abstain your vote from the budget is a huge decision, or huge choice. And it's not really an option, I don't think, if Mitch were to need to rescind her vote, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, just looking at both of them, I'd say John Way has been my neighbor for 12 years. I think anytime we have the opportunity to choose a commission member that has Main Street business, I think that's imperative. Just because our Main Street is gonna be involved in a lot of up and coming, I think, decisions that we have to make. And then I guess, yeah, they both have impressive credentials, but I'll probably, yeah, I think John's credentials and just who he is and having known him for 12 years, it's pretty important.
His board experience was very impressive, and that would be a great asset. Mitch is also, though.
Yeah, I agree. They both have great strengths. And, I know from, I personally know that Mitch is very detail oriented. And when it comes to accounting, I know she's, in numbers, I know she's, got it down pat, no question about it. And John's got a lot of actual board experience. And it sounds like, he's probably knows a lot of people too, I think, from all his past experience. I do have a concern about, even if there isn't a conflict, it could be the perception of a conflict of interest with Mitch Anderson working for the town. So I don't know, they're both great candidates.
So did you say you do have feelings about her having relatives in
Perception of it,
Whether or not that it actually matters, or if it, is it, I think from not necessarily a legal standpoint, I think there could be a perception that of a conflict of interest from maybe the public who doesn't see what's going on, during meetings and generally during meetings and in review of budgets and so on. So
does it, I guess I don't really fully understand. There's what, 6 commissioners or 5?
5.
And she's 1 vote. So if she were, I mean, even to have to recuse herself from voting on a budget decision, she's 1 vote out of the 5 of you. How does that, she could be voted down?
Correct.
Easily.
She could, but if there were another commissioner or 2 absent from the meeting that weren't voting also, it could be a tie vote, or there are circumstances.
Okay, so amongst yourselves, since we kind of closed it for you guys to discuss, I guess my 2 cents in it is there's always the chance of the perception, and if we chose to remodel and we chose Corey, is that could be a conflict, so he can't put in for bids. It's just something we would have to be aware of in decision making. And like the budget, if the raise is truly across the board, it's not like that department gets singled out. It seems less of to that one person's benefit. You see what I'm saying? And the raises have been cost of living increases. Now, different if you said, no, this position at this start now should get $10 an hour more and nobody else does. That seems
But
like
we
a
did just do that
conflict.
with Public Works. We did just make that authorization with Public
That's what I'm
Works.
saying. How the conflict of interest would have to, it's depend on the situation. And it can arise in anything we do. It's just, we'd have to be more aware of it in that situation. That's just. Any other discussion amongst the commission, or you feel like you're ready to make a? Brandy?
I'm still here.
Do you
I
have?
agree. I agree with the rest of the commission. I'm concerned with her recusing herself with a major portion of our responsibilities. But I do think she's a qualified candidate.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Or do you feel prepared to vote?
No more comments.
So I guess we should still do it as a motion and a.
Yes.
Who you would like to move to appoint to the position for the 2025, till the 2025 election.
I move to appoint John Way as the next commissioner for 2024 City of Ennis.
I second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, call a vote with Corey.
Aye.
Brandy?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I recuse myself since we're sort of related?
It kind of is appropriate. All right.
She's gonna find out on YouTube.
All right, so the motion carries for Mr. Wade to join the commission to the end of 2025.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know if I should wait for her. The suspense is killing everybody. I think she'll be okay. Well, we'd all like to thank you for applying. And again, it's not an easy task, and just to throw your name into the hat shows an immense amount of caring and compassion towards your community. So thank you very much for both showing up and getting grilled publicly and being on YouTube for all of eternity. The council has chosen Mr. Way to fill the 2025 term. So congratulations, Mr. Way, for getting to sit in the seat. And again, thank you so much. And now that I've heard your amazing resume, I still have all your stuff. So some organizational skills are much needed in my life. So thank you. All right.
And thank you for applying, both of you.
With that, we can.
Nikki, what's the next part of that process? When does he get sworn in?
He may take his oath of office. I have it at any time. I have it. And then you may vote after you have actually taken your oath of office. I have a copy of it.
You want to put it to work right now, then let's do it.
All right, because everybody's here. Why not? Oh, we usually do the same. Sorry, Maria. People love pictures other than me.
Whole meeting full of firsts.
Picture guy too.
John,
Breaking new ground.
Yeah.
John, you wanna come over by the flag if you would?
All right, you gonna raise your right hand.
Mhm.
Say. Well, come
I'm sorry.
on. There you go. I, John Wayne,
I, John White,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States,
that I support, defend, and protect the Constitution of the United States,
of the state of Montana,
the state of Montana.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
And we maintain, so help me God.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Great.
Oh, she's doing her thing. Yeah, she.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. Congratulations. Thank you. We have to fill out paperwork at the end of the night, so don't sign.
So do I get to sit there now?
I get it. You sit over. You sit over there.
Misery loves company.
All right, now we will start the regular January meeting with a roll call of the council. Commissioner Hardy.
Here.
Commissioner Palmerton.
Here. Here.
Commissioner Hankins.
Here.
Commissioner Abernathy.
Yep.
And Commissioner Wade.
Here.
All right, shall we stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks.
Approval of the December 14th meeting minutes.
I'll move to approve the December 14th meeting minutes.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I found a few mistakes.
Okay. Corrections that need to be made.
Well, the first one that jumped out at me was my name is misspelled throughout. But more importantly than that, and I must say Karen did a monumental job of meeting notes. It was more like a meeting script, I think, than actual meeting notes.
Yeah, it was really nice to read.
It was very, very lengthy, but my biggest concern was she recorded that with regard to, I can't remember which section it was. It was, I think under the clerk, it was section 8D or E. Anyway, it's recorded that that I said that I had asked the Ginger or the clerk to post the bank records or the town bank records so that the public and the council can see if there's sufficient funds, for when we review claims and so on. And I took issue with that. And I think during the meeting, I tried to clarify that I didn't ask for that to be posted for the council and the public. I asked for it simply to be provided to the council so that we might know. And so I think I would like it to be recorded that way rather than me be recorded as though I said I wanted it for the council and the public. I think that's incorrect. Ask for it just to be for the council's review. That it was posted and the public saw it is, something else, but I didn't ask for it, the public to be aware of, or necessarily be aware of it. So for those reasons, I say take issue with the minutes the way they're recorded.
Any other discussion? So there's a motion and a second for them to be approved as written. So we can amend it or continue on.
Oh, we have to vote it down then.
Yep. So
Call the vote.
Brandy, we're calling the vote on the minutes as written.
Say that again, what?
Calling the vote on the minutes as written.
No.
Hankins,
No.
Abernathy.
No.
No.
All right.
Do you want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes with the amendment.
Yeah, that's basically what you're saying.
With the
So
corrections.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of December 14th meeting with the following corrections: that Abernethy be spelled correctly throughout, and that section 8E be amended to remove essentially remove the word public from section 8E following Abernethy.
Was there a second?
This is John Way for the record. I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? All right. Vote. Hankins.
Aye.
Abernathy.
Aye.
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 Brandy.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to public comment on non-agenda items.
Yes. Thank you.
Quick question. Does John Way actually vote considering what he wasn't at the last meeting? Shouldn't he abstain?
I watched the last meeting on video, if that helps.
So I think he can.
Okay.
And the minutes are posted online, so
And the
he's
minutes,
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Kurt Cardoso. I got to run back to work. I just wanted to make it clear. I sent an email to Maria. I would like to maintain my seat on the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Thank you. Next public comment.
Let's say congratulations. You're probably going to be sorry you took it. I'm Myron Walmo, taxpaying resident of Ennis, Montana. I have a couple of questions and inquiries regarding the direction of our fine community is heading. I've attended multiple Ennis Town Commission meetings and have revisited the videos just to make sure I didn't miss anything. After reviewing the meetings, I could not find the agenda for a vote from the governing body, the Ennis Town Commission, to authorize the town attorney to go on this tirade of bullying and causing hate and discontent with the county law enforcement, which leads me to believe that this is an invalid and unauthorized use, causing harm and jeopardizing the safety of this community. Any expenses incurred on this wild goose chase is not at the cost of the taxpayers. And last, it was revealed in the last meeting from the town attorney himself that he was receiving internet media from the IT specialist without using proper channels to acquire these documents. Due to this lack of proper legality, I would suggest that both positions be terminated immediately and advertised for and utilize vetted and competent firms to replace this colluding and corruption that has developed with the entities of this community. The confidence of the citizens of this community are not to be taken lightly and be run over by a couple of bullying individuals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second call for public comment on non-agenda items.
Good evening, commissioners. Congratulations, Mr. Way, on the appointing to the seat. My name is Lisa Roberts. My only comment on the agenda is the MOU with the sheriff's office is not on the MOU or on the agenda, excuse me. And I think in previous meetings, it was decided that that agenda item would be on the agenda until that was resolved. And so I would like to see it on the next agenda, and hopefully we can have a resolution to that here soon. Thank you.
Next call for public comment on non-agenda items. Anything from online on non-agenda items? Closing public comment on non-agenda items and moving on to unfinished business, which is resolution 595, a resolution to approve camping permit. So ordinance was adopted regulating camping, in which the ordinance also stated that the permit itself had to be approved by resolution. The permit has been presented to you and has all the requirements for the ordinance.
I have not seen the permit.
It was attached in the last month's one as well.
In the December? Have you seen it?
It was posted yesterday. It's in the shared
Permit?
folder.
I saw the resolution, but I didn't see the actual permit.
I didn't see the actual permit either. I was just referring to the resolution.
Just to the resolution's the only thing that's there. The resolution's the only thing that's there.
Correct.
That's all that I had seen too. So I feel like we've already done this portion of it, and weren't we just waiting on the actual permit to approve?
The resolution is done. It's just a physical form that you fill out, that a person would fill out the actual permit application.
But we have to approve that.
Yeah, that's how the resolution's written. The council would approve the actual permit.
It was in your
Approve it when I
packet
see
last
it,
month.
though.
It was in your packet for the last
It's
month's
hitting
meeting.
this one.
This one?
And it was tabled because you wanted to review it.
There's nothing attached to the resolution in this one. Was it in the December packet?
No, I mean, yeah, I don't see the actual, but this is all the
It's-
ingredients that are in it. That's what you're,
It's right here.
Not really, because there's nothing on there to document where the form of ID is or driver's license number, anything like that. There's a signature for the permit. A permit should have a signature on it, right?
That's the permit that was in last month's packet.
It was in the December 14 folder.
So what other information do you want to see on this?
I just wasn't aware that there was the actual permit at all. So I guess I'm fine with just looking over it. It looks like it's fine.
Did you see it?
Yeah, hold up here. I just don't recall seeing that last month. And they'll be taking a photocopy of a driver's license or something?
Correct.
Yeah.
So if a, sorry, Ms. Mayor, John Way for the record. Question. So if a person gets this permit, he or she has got to be vacated this spot by 8 a.m. Is that how I'm reading this? Because it says no daylight resting or camping allowed between 8 a.m. and 10 o'clock p.m. So if they are camping, they need to move on by 8 a.m. Is that correct?
That is how the ordinance was written.
Okay.
We need to put a motion on the floor. So I move to approve, let's see here, resolution 595-2023, a resolution of the town of Ennis to adopt overnight camping permit.
I'll second.
This is a motion and a second to approve resolution 595, 2023, a resolution to approve camping permit. Public comment. Second call.
How is the permit available? Do they just come to town hall?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything from online regarding resolution 595? Last call for public comment on resolution 595. Commission. Discussion.
I guess my question will probably address when the Lions talk next, but yeah, just curious as far as what that if the Lions have a group of people that come to town. I think we ran into this last summer. A group of cyclists came to town, and we were trying to figure out how to facilitate allowing them to camp. Was that would they have to pull?
Would they get a temporary use permit?
Right. I'm just curious what that would look like.
So if they're camping at this location, how it goes, I assume we can still, we'll post this online on the website, and then they can send in the information, and then we can issue it and leave it in a Dropbox for them. The entryway is still open. So.
Is there enough clarification on here that the people know that they have to vacate completely and they can return the following night at 10 o'clock?
With the same permit, right? Because it's
Mhm.
48 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, all we're approving is this application, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Any other discussion? I'm going to call the vote then. Mr. Abernathy?
Aye.
Mr. Way?
Aye.
Mr. Hardy?
Aye.
Ms. Palmerton. Ms. Palmerton, are you online?
Aye.
Ms. Hinkins. All right. Motion carries to approve Resolution 595. All right, under scheduled matters, Lions Park lease agreement discussion update. I met with Mr. Haney in December, and then we sent some stuff back and forth. Well, sent some more information on what other towns were doing in December as well. And then we met on Monday and revamped again, but we didn't have a final ready for their approval at their club meeting last night. So Mr. Haney and I will be meeting tomorrow morning at 10 to go over the newest rendition of this. And then if that works for them, then I will present to the Lions Club at their second monthly meeting. That's what I know. So I have a copy of the current one that I can send to you for review.
Please, that would be great.
Okay.
Can I make a motion right now? Is that legal?
There's no
You can
vote.
always make a motion.
I move that the council or the mayor helps appoint a committee to negotiate and discuss MOUs that are expired. Second.
Well, we can't discuss it until there's a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
There's two MOUs that are expired as of right now, and it doesn't seem like there's any progress being made on them whatsoever. So maybe, and I think that we should be a little more involved in knowing what's going on with these, since the Lions Club is almost a year expired. I think maybe it would help us go in the right direction if we could have some council members involved in the conversation.
My question, this is John Way for the record. My question is, I've read over all the town ordinances in the last week, and I'm trying to keep them clarified in my mind. Isn't there a town code that says the mayor has got to negotiate? I mean, I'm doing this by memory. I've read them all once, so they're not.
She executes, and
that's the word, execute. Yes.
But I believe the council should be involved in the discussing, although it's been pointed out by our attorney that we're not supposed to, in his attorney opinion. But I insist that the council should be involved in these discussions.
I would agree with that. I do believe that is our legal responsibility, is to be involved in contracts.
I believe there's a way to form a committee, so it would be possible.
If I put it on the agenda to assign a committee, then we can do it. We can try it, unless it says otherwise.
Mayor?
Mr. Greenbaum.
Right. So what I've explained in the past is that there's a separation of powers that's clearly outlined in the town charter, and then it's stated again in the town code. So it's stated actually in two different places. The commissioners are legislators, essentially a legislative body. And the day-to-day affairs, the business, negotiating contracts, negotiating MOUs for that matter, that's within the power and authority of the mayor. The commissioners are not authorized to engage in the negotiation of MOUs and contracts. And The reason for the separation of powers is pretty clear. Could you imagine what would happen, number one, if you had 5 commissioners independently attempting to negotiate an agreement with, let's say, for example, the sheriff of Madison County, and each commissioner is making some representation, oh, I could deliver this, or I could get that, I could do this. Now that's one problem. A bigger problem is that the commissioners are authorized to act by resolution by a majority vote at public meetings. Now, you could go out, you could do your research, you can look into all of these issues on your own as commissioners and come to a public meeting as well informed as you possibly can get. But you cannot be actively engaged in doing what the mayor is authorized and empowered to do for those reasons. There are just too many conflicts that could arise. And again, the public right to know is that when the commissioners act, they do so in a public meeting where an agenda item is posted. So I don't know how you could legally proceed with adopting a committee of commissioners to go out and negotiate, number one. Now, does this mean that the commissioners have no say whatsoever in what happens with a MOU or a lease or contract? Of course not. What it means is that for the most part, the mayor goes out, does a negotiation, brings it back to the commissioners. You don't need a subcommittee to do this. You have a public meeting process where the commissioners then meet and review, and they decide whether they approve it or not. And you could discuss it as long as you want. But to proceed in a different manner that's being proposed of forming some kind of a subcommittee of the commissioners to go out, and then you have a problem of are you acting with a quorum or just interfering in the entire process? So, the idea of forming the commission subcommittee to discuss or negotiate contracts, I think is a very bad idea.
How else are we supposed to have input? We haven't seen anything about the Lions Club contract at all so far. How are we supposed to be informed?
When the Lions, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I mean, I guess that was just my question. How are we supposed to feel like we know anything about what is happening? We've not been updated. We have not seen the contract. We have not been a part. We don't know anything that's even happening except for it's expired for almost a year. How are we supposed to be informed and know about this?
Can I pose this question to the local government center?
That would be great because I feel like we deserve to know what the hell is happening.
Well, there's
another
nothing.
Opinion.
Let me try to answer Commissioner Hankins' question, if I may. There's nothing prohibiting the commission from having your discussion and review as drafts are prepared in the public meeting. So I only just completed this most recent version of the Lions Club license and use agreement at about, 3:30, 4 p.m. So 4 p.m.
But I asked last month.
I'm sorry?
I understand that, but I also asked last month at the meeting for an update in my commissioner comments. And there was no update given.
Were you not provided with an update on where the negotiations were or what we were doing?
No, absolutely was not.
Oh. Because I checked my calendar and the last time I had communicated with the Lions Club president was, I think, back in December, about 3 weeks ago, and hadn't heard back from him. And it was only that on Monday I was in town hall and I came down there obviously for court duty, and I had on my personal agenda to work on that lease agreement. And then surprise enough, Dave Heaney was there meeting with the mayor. So then we sat down for about two and a half hours. I was going to give you this in my department legal update, but since we're here, might as well just fill you in. So we met for about 2.5 hours and we went through the draft line by line, and I was able to get a version out, which I think is a solid agreement. I think it represents what both parties have basically stated and agreed to. And so, it'll probably be on your agenda next month.
Will we see it before it's on the agenda, though? That's my main concern. I'd like to ask Commissioner
I don't see,
Palmerton.
I don't see any reason why you shouldn't see it.
Why haven't we
I don't-
seen any of the drafts so far? I don't.
They've been back and forth.
Yeah.
I
So,
understand that, but.
pose question to MSU local government, but there is a motion on the floor about creating committee with legal's comments. Any other discussion?
Mr.
I don't-
Mayor,
I don't think you can vote on that.
Hold
on
on,
your
hold on. Wait,
agenda.
I have a question here.
James.
I appreciate your legal judgment and legal representation is keeping it between the lines.
Yes,
And
sir.
I don't think anybody on this commission, nor in this town wants to stray outside those lines and possibly open us up to personal legal action. But I think what I'm hearing from the commissioner is that she is frustrated with the speed and the not knowing. I also understand that there is a legal opinion from our contracted attorney that says that this power is doled solely to the mayor to negotiate these contracts. So let's try to skin this cat a different way. Maybe if that legal opinion is accurate from our attorney, and we have to abide by that, maybe our mayor is overwhelmed, can't get this done, has a lot on her plate, which I believe she does. Maybe she needs some help. It's not a committee. I believe in aggregate intelligence is better than singular intelligence. Maybe the mayor needs some help with these contracts. Maybe she can ask for help from one member of the commission to be the point person for each one of these and help her. That may include meeting with her at a regular time every week, going over the plan that's going forward and seeing the rough draft as it goes and providing fence posts to get that to the commission in a more timely manner. Would that be something that could work and keep us inside the legal guidelines that our contracted counsel suggests we stay in?
I would have to take that under advisement, but I think generally speaking, if the mayor was to ask a commissioner to assist her, outside the commission role of being a strict legislator, I guess we would have to look into that a little bit further. My first impression is it does not sound like it would be strictly prohibited. And I understand and I appreciate some of the frustration. I generally deal with single point of contact. I mean, that was on my interview and that was on my, course of conduct that was explained to me when I first started working as a town attorney, to have single point of contact. And so that's why I operate mostly, dealing strictly with the mayor. Now, if there's legislation, I try to circulate that stuff. This particular lease agreement, again, I didn't get it done until about 4:00 this afternoon. I have no problem sharing that draft with anybody whatsoever.
All right, so there's a motion and a second to form committee. Technically in this portion. And then we can repose if we feel that we may be outside of legal consult. So discussion about the motion on the floor. No, we're discussing.
Commissioner, would you be opposed to retracting your motion and amending it at this point?
No, I would not be opposed to that.
Yeah, I guess I think that sounds reasonable to me. I think it's when you're I mean, just coming from a business standpoint, when you're negotiating things, you have to know all of that information that's pertinent to the item that you're actually trying to decide on. Like, I guess I'll give an example with my business. There's only one person that makes the schedule for my business, and you're listening to them. So no one else is allowed to be like, well, I thought maybe we could just squeeze it in. That creates issues. So I guess when you're actually in the middle of a negotiation, yeah, I guess I have a little bit of issue, but as far as transparency is concerned, I think that's a fantastic idea moving forward if we were to appoint one individual.
I'm not sure it has to be an appointment. I think it can be the mayor just saying that, hey, the Lions Club, Corey, can you help me with this? If she is open to that. Or Nikki, can you help me with this one? And you guys attack it together. But knowing that the mayor has the negotiating power.
Just for a point of clarification, in the charter, it says all contracts are subject to the approval of the commission. So it doesn't help if someone's severely negotiating, like I understand your point, Corey, about being the decider, but ultimately the commission is the decider. So if the mayor doesn't know what the commission wants, it doesn't make sense for her to negotiate something that the commission is not going to approve.
And the thing I wanted to comment on and read out of the charter is in section 3, number 9, powers and duties of the mayor. Number 9 says execute bonds, notes, contracts, and written obligations of the commission subject to the approval of the commission.
I really think this is a question to pose to the MSU.
They get to work on it, not go out and separately negotiate.
Right.
Like
be informed,
was
be involved.
characterized by the attorney. I don't think that's what's being said at all.
I really would like to pose that question to the MSU Local Government Center at what is the recommended action? Is it through a appointed committee, or does that change things, or is it a singular, hey, can I ask John to help me out with this topic? That would be mine, and I can send that out to Ashley and Stan Monday and let you know the result of it. If it's, hey, I can ask you guys. If not, then we can have a work session and on which ones you want to have committees on and put it on an actual agenda if they say committee format is different. But that's my thought on that, to make sure that it's clear one way or another without. They seem to know every time that I have a question, they can clearly define or point to where it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a motion in a second to, how does that read?
Okay. So call the vote, we have to vote it down, right? And then
We either retract the motion or call the question. It's your motion.
I would like to edit it.
Nikki?
Mr. Greenbaum, Nikki was speaking at the moment. Commissioner Hankins.
I guess I will retract the motion. Can I do that and then edit it to? I would say make a new motion.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I would move, or I would please move that the council appoints a committee if specified by MSU local government extension okays us to be a part of the negotiation process in the MOU. So the council can be more involved and know what's going on, or a person of the council can be involved.
You said appoint a committee, or you mean
Well,
Like a
two
person or
people,
a committee?
well, even two people is fine. Because
Well,
it's not a
what is the
quorum.
motion?
It could be a one person, it's a committee, and it could be a one person committee or two. No, three would be one. Yeah. So two and the mayor would be fine, or one and the mayor would be fine.
I second that motion.
Right, discussion.
Can you read back that? So I'm
Thank you.
sure what we're voting on.
Yeah.
So
Can I
what,
just say something, Mayor, Nikki, Mayor Haas?
James?
So I just want to call your attention to the agenda that was published for this evening. The agenda item that you're on is scheduled matter 7A, Lions Club Park Lease Agreement dash discussion. There's no indication that there would be a vote tonight on any matters under that agenda item.
Correct.
But I asked if I could make a motion, and it was approved.
I don't think that's accurate.
No,
Still doesn't say anything about.
vote.
Doesn't have to. It's under board business. It- Vote on anything under board business.
No.
If it's been properly noticed.
If it's
Properly noticed when you're making
Yeah, see,
decisions, because you can,
So when
So-
when would a proper point for me to make this?
I think I
When
should.
it says discussion and vote.
It does.
So we
The
could
other
wait
thing-
another 6
okay.
months till it's approved, and then I can make that motion. Do I really have to?
Commission. You may also, before a meeting, present information that you've deemed to be on the agenda. That's how it makes it ahead of time for the public to know. Does that make sense? So if you send it in to me before the agenda is posted, if you have whatever supporting material, then it can be made in your packet and it's a discussion and a vote.
So the agenda item is the lease agreement discussion. Is for lease agreement discussion, correct? But I haven't seen the lease agreement,
Right.
right? Attorney Greenbaum has just recently completed it, so I don't know how we can have a meaningful discussion without having reviewed it.
Right, considering I've never seen a copy.
So do we table this for next meeting?
I still would like to pose the question to the local government center about the committees and how they're formed.
You don't need permission from the commission to do that.
Okay. Since there's no vote on the agenda, we'll move on to our other one, which does have a vote and a discussion. So reimagining rural.
Is there a motion?
You can't, if there's not, if James just said if it's not on the agenda, which he's right. If there's in public meeting, if it's not posted as an action item, then it wasn't relating to the Lions Club.
I mean, it kind of is related to the Lions Club.
So what's the proper way to proceed then?
Right.
On this guy?
Well,
We need to be able to review the agreement. Right? I think before we can really move forward, sounds like to me.
Okay.
and we have a verbal from the mayor saying that she's gonna move forward with asking.
MSU about that. I still think that's the best form. We can verify that way. Okay. And we can ask about a motion made in a meeting too.
I mean, when else are we gonna make a motion?
If not during discussion.
Um,
You're not deciding it.
I see where you could go down a rabbit hole where things are not on the agenda and decisions are being made without the public even knowing that decisions are being made. And that's a bad idea. So I think the best course of action is to have stuff submitted. I will pose your question anyway to MSU and send you the current draft. And again, I'm here tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Mr. Haney, and I can update you when he's actually got to read the newest draft as well. I'd not power read it this afternoon. But I don't think a motion on something that's not actually on the agenda is appropriate.
Can I make a motion to put something on next month's agenda or next meeting's agenda? When would be the proper place to do that?
All you have to do is submit information.
Or you can do it under unscheduled matters at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Probably do it then too.
Okay. So, with legal advice that things that are not on the agenda should not be voted on, we'll move on to reimagining rural. So, we applied for reimagining rural, a program through MSU in which we gather volunteer groups, and we have 3 blocked pre-programmed nights. And the first hour is discussion from our presenters, and then the second block is discussion amongst the groups with facilitators, which are Karen and I. And we attain training on just January 22nd. So the libraries, Karen said that they could host. And as part of this program, there is a $200 stipend allowed to facilitate the program. I was hoping that that could go to the Friends of the Library, as they may be helping us with any goodies and the use of the space, cleaning up at the space. So that was I wanted to make sure that it was okay with you guys for that stipend to be applied for from the Friends of the Library instead of through the town itself. As they're kind of helping us with the food and this stuff, which is what the whole stipend was for, was to offset the cost there.
So for clarification, you're just looking for a motion to apply that $200 stipend to the library.
Mm-hmm. The Friends of the Library.
Friends of the Library.
Friends of the Library.
Friends of the Library, sorry.
Okay.
That seems pretty straightforward.
Is there a motion for that? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yep.
John Way, so moved.
Okay. Public comment.
We need a second.
Oh,
I
sorry.
second.
Sorry. So public comment on the $200 stipend from the Reimagine Rural going to Friends of the Library for hosting or helping host. Second call. All right, last call for public comment on the $200 stipend to the Friends of the Library. All right, commission. Any discussion? Any other discussion?
I think it sounds great. I've actually listened, I believe I've heard the lady Rebecca Lindum from North Dakota, which North Dakota has the exact opposite problem that Montana has right now, that they're quite literally like begging people to move to North Dakota. So, yeah, I think it'd be interesting to hear that perspective.
All right, then I will call the vote on that. I don't remember where I'm at. I think I made it here.
Aye.
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 Randy?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, I will contact Karen and the Friends of the Library and let them know. All right, next item of business is the contract for the grant writing services from Great West Engineering. This is in regards to the water plan. So it is a task amendment in which, where is it? Great West would assist us with further public hearings and actually writing the grant process for the upcoming grant cycle to be done. I think the deadlines are May of this year for the next legislative session for the MSEP grant and the DNRC application as well.
That's what this 17K is for. Is for
Yes.
them to basically write that, prepare that grant for us.
Correct. And assist with the public hearings that are required for those grant applications.
And they would run those meetings, those public hearings, Great West, or are we responsible to run those?
We post them there on site to answer questions.
One question, was this 17K accounted for in the budget? Was it?
It was in professional services.
Perfect, seems straightforward.
So I'll make a motion to approve the contract, the additional 17K contract.
Second.
So the amendment to task order number 7?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to approve amendment number 2 to task order number 7. In the amount of 17, not to exceed.
Junior, can you?
Second. Let me get a second.
There you go.
Brandon, yeah.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve task order or amendment number 2 to task order number 7 by Great West Engineering. Public comment. Second call for public comment.
I have a question. What is how large is the grant that you're trying to?
Receive. I guess what's the return on the investment for $17,000?
So the Montana Coal Endowment portion is, if we are at 100% of target rate, we would be looking for 500,000. And for the DNRC, that's actually the SRLF.
All the letters.
My alphabet soup loan, which then is forgiven if you meet all of the requirements as laid out, and that one is 750,000.
Thank you.
We're applying for max amounts at those for the well and the storage tank.
So both the grant and the loan are covered by that.
Yes.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for that information.
Last call for public comment. All right, commission comment, question?
Did we not have, this is Hardy, did we not have money set aside for a grant writer this year, or were we not trying to hire one, or is this us hiring one right now?
We set aside money in the professional services in several departments. That and in Eric's we set aside for this, knowing that we were probably going to be seeking these grants, and that I don't want to try and figure that out in-house. Not to be mean, but those are reviewed by legislation. I mean, it's a very competitive. It has been. They were most of them were. I think all of them were actually awarded in the last legislative session, but that may not always happen. So I think professionally prepared at this point is going to be our best bet at attaining those funds and keeping on track for the water PER.
One question before we vote. These grants, are they all or nothing, meaning that we get the 750K or we get zero, or can it be partially funded? Can it be?
I actually don't know if in committee if they approve partial. The loan is based on like if you're at rate and everything else, and those are fairly easy to obtain.
Mhm.
But I don't know that it's percentage wise. I think you apply for the whole thing and hope for the best.
Basically apply for what you would like for that project. These ones were next.
More questions?
Call the question.
Any other comment? Call the vote. Mr. Way, you're up.
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Brandy?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I will contact Great West and send over the contract. Okay, next item of business is the zoning board of adjustments. I received a resignation letter from Mr. Christian Peterson, and he was one of our 3-year term. And when I looked at that, I also realized that Mr. Treglia, Mr. Cardosa, and Feldman, Mr. Feldman actually had a 1-year appointment, and Cardosa and Treglia had 2-year appointments. So we will need to fill those vacancies. So I'd like to put a letter in the paper seeking letters of interest for those appointment to the zoning board of adjustments. Obviously, Mr. Treglia and Cardosa have also shown interest in continuing to serve on the board. So that is where that is at. So I will have to have your approval once I have candidates or letters of interest from residents. So you know.
Can these positions not be also filled by commission members? I feel like Forrest would, or just recently passed some legislation that suggested that that could be the case. I'm just thinking worst case scenario if somebody.
Not commission. I think you're confused because the one that was passed said that first class cities may combine planning board and zoning board into one, or must actually. I don't think shall, like can. They have to combine the two into one. Little towns which have more population and therefore more volunteers, I'm honored, but can still choose to have 2 separate boards. But where the zoning board grants a variance I think that might, well, I guess you all approve conditional uses, but it doesn't say anything against it.
So maybe a MSU extension off this question.
Can planning board members serve on the zoning board as well? Okay.
Yes.
And these are non-Ennis residents?
They can be, but not necessarily.
For zoning board, planning board is within 1 mile. There's a very specific set of rules.
So
For
all these
planning
people
board.
live within 1 mile of town?
3 of them.
Zoning board has different rules than planning board. And that's why I wonder, yeah, I'll check with the MSU.
It wasn't a contest.
So planning board members can serve on the zoning board, but zoning board members may not necessarily be able to serve on the planning.
Exactly.
Well, that's a square as mud.
A square is not, okay. On commission
There
can
were
sit.
5 positions and only 5 people. Wow.
Right, but if there's rules, then all 5 need to abide by the rules. That was my question.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've posed this question before, so, but I'll ask it again to make sure. Okay. So, we'll put letters of interest out and I will clarify on if a commission member can sit on the zoning board with MSU. All right, 2 department reports. So I sent an email out for staff earlier this week because it has been a roller coaster, as all of town has been, about the plague and sickness and this, that, and the other. So that's been a thing and not everybody's here. Karen is actually running another meeting at the library currently. That meeting is also being repeated Monday at the school.
And tomorrow at the senior center.
Correct. I don't know the times of those 2 meetings.
Is there a written report from Karen?
Yes, and a written report has been submitted. Law enforcement has submitted a written, what?
Do we have a library report?
Yes,
It's online.
It's in the agenda.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And I'm sure Karen and she and I are working together to split up the Reimagine role. So Karen's taking half of the task off of it, preparing letters for invites and a list, and then we're actually divvying up the list for calls. And then I'm in charge of the public notice in the paper, and then together we're taking the coordinating training the 22nd. So that's that. So Karen has, I didn't see that in here, but she's been working on that stuff as well. Well, a little bit. And then PDs is also submitted.
Mr. Mayor, one question on the library report, real quick. I noticed in the minutes from last month's meeting, it said they wanted an agenda item on the agenda for a street light and a parking spot or something like that, if I remember correctly. Is that just tabled till next meeting because they couldn't be here, or?
Correct. Well, not because they couldn't be here. I contacted Karen and for the proposal and the material to go with that, those agenda items, and because she was out sick for a little bit too, she was falling behind. She's like, just leave me off. I'm not prepared to present anything until next month. So
okay,
that's where that's at. She asked for things to be taken off because she wasn't. Because the UC has overwhelmed town, all of town. And everybody's a little bit behind on that. Law enforcement is in your packet as well. Eric, I honestly haven't read yours yet. That was my bad. And last month, we also kind of tabled his office because we're waiting on more bids, and we haven't received any new bids. And we've asked for several. So we wanted to be able to present you with more options than one if possible. Zoning, you did not have a report. Back to like somebody's been out. So, yep, due to medical reasons, zonings was excused. There was no way that was going to happen. And clerks. That's you. Britton, if you have any questions for Ginger.
So I just came in today.
I have a question. Any traction on deputy clerk?
We do have some more interest. We put it on Indeed, but from the Indeed, we have only gotten one application back. So I know the mayor and I think Eric and myself have been reviewing what we do have in. And we just got to get together and see if there's some in there that we want to review.
That added one other that was complete. So I'll get back to that in mine.
Greg, we've had about 5 people on Indeed, but they have not submitted applications.
So
The process with Indeed is they respond and then they get referred to the town application and they must submit that.
Okay.
So, and we have just gotten one application back.
Is there a note in there that says like only full applications or applicants will be reviewed?
Says it
Right on the application.
First thing.
Okay.
Who is Norm Klein? Annual financial report with Norm Klein.
Norm used to be an auditor for the state, and now he is helping, he's done our annual financial report, I think, like the last 10 years or so. Works out of Billings. So he's a government accountant. So he is the gentleman that has been doing our annual financial reports for us.
Okay.
Is that?
Yep.
Okay. We are almost complete. I think today he sent me a couple more questions and I tried to get back to him, but I don't know whether we missed each other this afternoon or what have you, but I'm looking that we should be in completion by no later than this Tuesday. Hoping. It's going well.
Once you have that, does that get disseminated to the public, to the commissioners? What's the process with that?
It certainly can, yeah, we get it in a digital format.
Mm-hmm.
It is submitted to the state for their review. But yeah, it's a public document, John.
Okay. It might be interesting, at least, to take a look at.
Or even, is there the opportunity, I know with the auditor, I've actually had conversation with one of our previous, or I guess it's the same auditor, but is it within this guy's job scope to do a presentation on our annual report, or is that?
Typically not. I don't think we've ever asked him, but typically not. But with that being done, then the auditors are going to have it. So it might be something too that we propose with them.
Is that date scheduled? You said February.
They are talking the end of February.
So we'll have a meeting before
Yes.
the auditors are here, so you'll know the date.
That are mid-year review.
Uh-huh. So you'll know the date, and if you let me know if you're available, I can usually, they've always been really great about making arrangements for time just specifically for council and questions towards the end of the audit. It's kind of chaos in the middle of it, but they're really good at accommodating, coming in and asking questions and clarifications while you're here, while they are here. All right, anything else for clerks?
Yeah, one more question. So Ginger, you have financial report and calendar year-end reports. I'm sure they probably have due dates. Do you foresee any issue in meeting any due dates for any of the reports?
Not with those, because they all coincide while I'm doing the W-2s, the 1099s. So it's just kind of like I pull it all together at once.
Okay.
So
it's on track.
It's on track.
Any other questions for Ginger, for clerks? All right, legal.
Good evening. Congratulations to Commissioner Wade on your appointment to the Town of Ennis Commission. I'm looking forward to working with you and wish you the best of luck. I've heard your qualifications, particularly your government service with the state and local business owners. So I think you bring a lot to the table, and hopefully, you contribute to the legislative process and everything else that's going on down there in the town of Ennis. So basically, you've heard enough probably already about the Lions Club agreement, license agreement, use agreement. Again, I just completed the draft on this afternoon, and we had the opportunity to meet on Monday. And prior to that, I hadn't heard back for about 3 weeks approximately. And actually, I thought maybe the Lions were just kind of sort of tabling the thing until the weather cleared and the ground thawed out. But in any event, we're moving forward on that, and hopefully we get an agreement that everybody agrees to, and the commission, it's subject to your approval as well, the commissioners. And I just wanted to point out, I read the annual police report, the EPD summary. It was interesting to note that only 18% of the calls for service originated during the evening hours. And that included everything from EPD, fish, wildlife, and game, sheriff, and any other law enforcement services. Only 18% of the calls for service occurred during the evening. As far as the sheriff's MOU is concerned, December 22nd, and I believe I copied all the commissioners with the public records request. So I don't see how, anybody could possibly move forward without those serious and substantial issues being clarified by the sheriff. So that's why we served the public records request that went out on December 22. And Commissioner Wade, if you would like to see that or any of the other work product, recently, get yourself up to speed. As soon as you have your email address, your official email address, I'll be happy to forward those documents to you. And, it occurred to me too that, during a public meeting, you know, everybody has the right to know and participate in the public meeting, but it has to be noticed, of course. So, and one of the other issues that, we didn't really discuss, but documents that are in draft, and I know this because I worked on the public records retention policy for Gallatin County when I was the deputy county attorney there. Draft documents are not considered public records. And the reason is that, it's not a finalized document. And if draft documents were subject to public disclosure, you'd never get anything accomplished because, you'd just be constantly disseminating drafts and you'd have to retain every single, and I'm talking about, electronic records, any edits, mergers, of those documents with other exhibits. I mean, every single draft would have to be retained and be subject to disclosure. So I'm just throwing that out there for clarification purposes in case anybody out there, in the public is wondering, how come we haven't seen this draft yet? Well, because it's a draft. It's really not a public record. But, again, we get back into that whole issue about how many cooks does it take to make a bowl of soup, right? Too many chefs in the kitchen. And I think that's the essence of the separation of powers. Of course, I encourage the mayor and commissioners, study up on the issue. If I'm wrong on it, then fine. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But my understanding is that, it's a single point of contact between town attorney and the mayor, essentially. I try to send out all the legislation. Every time I've drafted legislation, I've got it somewhat in a final form. I've sent that out for comments from the commissioners. And, I will continue doing that and trying to work with you guys as best as I can. But you have to be aware and cognizant of the limits on what you can do without a public meeting. So that brings me to my conclusion, I guess. The conclusion is that what might help with the process, what might help with, Commissioner Hankins' concern about being more up to date and seeing what's going on. Because trust me, no one's trying to hide anything from anybody, all right? But there are the concerns about public meeting law and the public's right to know. So what I would encourage you all to do is to adopt maybe a work session every other week where you can meet as a commission. Public has the right to know, public has the right to participate, sort of, because it's a work session. And you can get up to date, and view the draft documents and work with the mayor on these issues that you feel, you want to really explore in depth or have greater participation in. I mean, that's the idea I think that might work best for the town. And they do it in all other types of government bodies. I mean, where I've worked, not only in Gallatin County, but back in New York, that's, a very, very effective means of moving some of these things forward. You get a work session, you get together, it's above board. It's not, a commission meeting taking place through emails. I mean, these are the limitations. This is practical difficulty of working in a government body. It has to be publicly noticed and it has to be by public meeting. And that's probably, supports the whole concept of the separation of powers, where the mayor is going out and doing the negotiations, and then she brings it back to you, and then you can approve it or not. And if you want to be more intimately involved, then I suggest you just establish a regular and routine work sessions. That's my legal update for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenbaum. 2 commission reports. Mr. Hardy.
I guess I would ask that we I think we've asked for this before that we changed department reports on the agenda to be at the beginning of the meeting. So that way we can ensure, I guess, attendance by all of the individuals that work for the town, and then they can leave so we don't have to sit around and do all the discussion. Again, John Moore at meetings, I think, would be, if a new commissioner on Mr. Way. I don't know how well you know John Moore, but just to be able to, like, I guess, have discussion with him while we're here at the meeting, I think is imperative for all of the commission members to be able to ask questions or have a conversation with him in a public setting. What else? I guess Ms. Abernathy, Mitch, I understood you're a CPA, and previously when we were working on, I guess what was it? Our financial report, stuff like that. In the past, I myself and Commissioner Schroeder formed what was called the finance committee, where we were trying to educate ourselves with how municipal finance works. I guess accrual accounting basically versus cash accounting, and I think it's an area where I know I definitely need to educate myself more on it. So it'd be great if you would be willing to maybe participate in some of those discussions, and I would encourage you to continue to come to meetings. So, yep, that's it.
Commissioner Palmerton? Randy, your report.
I got nothing.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for hanging in there.
I've not had a library board meeting yet. That is scheduled for tomorrow morning, so I don't have an update there. Just go through my stuff. I guess I'm still continually frustrated with the lack of communication. Not sure if the applicants were even informed when they were supposed to show up to this meeting. Just continual frustration with the MOU, not knowing anything that's going on. I've asked for updates at the few meetings and just kind of been brushed off. I was going to ask for progress on hiring a deputy clerk. There was community concern about the vacant building on Main Street. The sidewalks were neglected and have been neglected. So if we can just maybe put, it's not a zoning thing, right? It would be a law enforcement or enforcement issue. If we can just put that on the radar, I think that would be great. And I think that's all I have.
Neglected for what, snow removal or just, oh, okay.
Clarification, what building exactly are you talking about?
The vacant building to the next to the library.
Okay.
And the one past that is
And the one past.
nearly new.
Oh, okay. That wasn't brought up, but okay.
Letters that have to go out. Now that you're laid up, we can draft them for.
Where the ramp is, right there.
And the one down by past the nearly new is broken.
And town hall on there, north side.
Sidewalk letters.
The building may be vacant, but there's still an owner.
Then they still have to maintain the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of the places that I were thinking, same. Anything else?
No.
Mr. Aber.
Well, we had the we had the January planning board meeting this past Tuesday. We're still narrowing in or honing in on the final questions for the questionnaire. And I know it's been an iterative process. We had 5 members present for the meeting. And there's definitely some urgency to get a final list to put together and start to get it out there for comment. So I think we made some pretty good progress to that end during Tuesday's meeting. Just some of the items that we had planned on doing. We planned on doing an outreach thing where we could set up something on, say in front of the library, just have people. We pretty much tabled that and due to weather until maybe, if it goes to spring or something, maybe we would. But for the time being, our plan is to get a Facebook page posted, but it will not be for comment. It will be for survey. So the idea is that it would take you to a survey where there's a list of questions and you can answer and submit those, and then we would compile that information. Rather than, we wanted to stay away from comments because they can get pretty heated and off on tangents, and it'd be hard to weed through a bunch of stuff. We also plan on doing you've seen those QR codes you can take a picture of with your phone. That if we were to post those around town, that would basically take you to a survey, the same survey. We could collect information that way as well. And we think that would be maybe faster, cheaper than a mailing. We might still do a mailing, but
I think for the older community, maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea.
yeah. So we'll our plan is to have a final draft of the questionnaire ready and by early next week, and we'll distribute it just to the planning board members, who will then kind of go to some of the larger organizations like the Lions Club or maybe the Chamber or the library, and for initial input to kind of help tailor the final questionnaire that'll go out. So the Chairman Linden also said he had set up a training meeting with Kelly Lynch and Ashley Kent. That's currently scheduled for Wednesday, February 21st, although the location and the time is still TBD. And let's see what else. So our next meeting is, of course, it'll be the second Tuesday, of next month, which is the 13th, here at Town Hall at 6:15. And public's invited, is always invited. There wasn't much of a turnout other than planning board members this past Tuesday. I think the weather had a lot to do with that, actually. So
Speech and debate community night.
no, that was yeah. Well,
What was the date again?
the 13th, February 13th, 6:15 here. Finally, Mayor, I think Linda had sent you something on 819, an 819 grant opportunity that you'd like to apply for. So as long as I wanted to make sure that you saw that. And
I guess as we're applying for grants, that deadline for House Bill 819 is February 9th.
Yeah, it would be a pretty sporty schedule, I think, to get a grant pulled together. And
I reviewed the application. It is literally a 2-page application. It didn't look actually all that beastly. So when Lyndon sent the link to it he went to the town hall link and watched the video on the whole thing. So I was going to get with him and see but he also mentioned that Mr. Berryman might be able to assist as well. So if I could get together and if we wanted to pursue that grant, but it was a 50% match, and we still have professional, was it 50?
No, 20%.
20%.
It's 30K, 20%.
20% match, which we have in planning board. But we want to keep that as much as sure. can for resource for the growth policy, but I think the grant is an awesome way to obtain the last professional portion that we need to accomplish the growth policy. So,
I attended that meeting online as well. It was basically a read through of uh, the form that you can go online to look at. So it was more of a
through the application, not like
yeah.
hints,
So if,
like
so
the
if
other
you
one
go,
they gave us.
if you go to that website and you click on that and you see the form, it was
Mhm.
basically a walkthrough of that form with
Okay.
some additional comments and stuff. So if you read the form, you basically get most of, I think, what was in that meeting.
Oh.
So that's the grants to assist with creating.
It's with planning documents, and it was part of the housing. That's kind of what the focus was, is towards housing and assisting with planning documents, and it's got its stipulations on what it can and cannot be used for, but growth policies are one of those. So
yeah.
So there's that, and then if for some reason, I mean, if we don't accomplish 819, why am I blanking? In March, there's another grant for CDBG. Thank you. Community Development Block Community.
Block grant.
Thank you. There's a lot of letters tonight. CDBG. I think we've almost got all the whole alphabet, but that is also available in March. So between the two, we need, I think, to focus on the growth policy and then move on to our next planning documents after that. If we achieve 819, start to look towards capital improvement. If we have the matching funds, I'll have to look for the block grant, if we can do that, for that to be updated. If not,
That's
we'll
all I
have to
got.
put that on next year.
That's all I have.
Okay, I may need help with that.
I have a question concerning the planning board, like their jurisdiction. Is it just within city limits, or would they be an entity that might, you know, how there's, I don't know, Susie would be the one to answer this, but there's
It's a mile.
A mile. The planning is within a mile.
Okay.
So you can have candidates within a mile of outside the city limits for that
Okay.
reason.
But that's their jurisdiction as well.
Mhm.
Okay. So the golf course would be part of that, and even the park across the river, the DNRC.
Yeah, I don't know how much we could do with that. You talking about where all the camping and stuff?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know how much we can do with that.
Sure.
As the town or as the planning board.
Sure. I think it's interesting, like even as far as like trails, if the town wanted to pursue like doing trails up at the golf course, even around that public area, you could ultimately pursue that as a planning board if you guys were looking for a project.
Well, some of the items that we talked about to address in there and in the growth policy are items that, you know, aren't really in there right now, like view shed, recreational trails, agriculture area. Be able to, you know, there's the subregs that are in the growth policy refer back to Madison County. They're not Ennis town specific. We want to change that. So I don't know if that helps.
All right, Mr. Whitty, first and ever.
Yeah. First, thank you for putting your trust in me. I'll try to live up to your expectations. I'll be a little more high speed, low drag in the future. This is my first meeting trying to get caught up. I have read all this stuff in the last couple of days, but in the future I will be more prepared. A couple of things. I echo Commissioner Hardy that the department heads should be at our monthly meetings, especially the chief of police. In case there are, number one, in case there are any questions on his report. I don't speak police officer, and sometimes there's things that maybe he can clarify in person that would alleviate some of that. And I noticed that other department heads are here, and I appreciate that. The stuff that's online, just clarifying in the folder, that's the information for the commissioners as well. And I know a couple of times at the meeting tonight, several commissioners have asked for more information. Maybe in the future, just throw everything in there and let the commissioners kind of sort it out. More might be better. And when is the agenda written for the meeting? You suggested forwarding you stuff for agenda items, but when does it have to be done and in what format?
So I prefer that it be, okay, so what's today? Like today's Thursday. I like to release it by Friday for you guys. So I like to have everything the Monday before that so that I can look it over, see if there's any questions and send it on.
Okay. Okay, that answers my question. And yeah, that's all I have. I'll have more in the future.
Hey, Nikki? Nikki?
Commissioner Palmerton? Is that you?
Yeah,
Okay.
is it right if I ask questions? I'm over my coughing fit for a second. I only have 2 questions. Did we ever get an answer for those dumpsters, putting dumpsters in at the apartments back by the library? You remember we said something about checking to see whether or not that was a part of their terms of condition?
I think you should email me this question or.
Okay, I can do that.
Of the library, the tenants were using the library.
Yeah. Not the library, the tenants of that big apartment thing.
Oh, to the west
The west, I'm sorry.
of the new building,
The new
Yeah.
building itself, the west of the library, yeah.
the tenants were using the library.
Dumpster. And again, at some point, it's, I guess, if there's an actual complaint, then issued to me, then it makes sense. But at some point, you have to go, what is our job to intervene on? If there's ordinance, this, that, or the other, or what is it actually civil that you need to have a conversation and say, please don't use my facilities that I pay for.
No, I just didn't know if we had made that a requirement in their
Oh, and their T&D.
In the T&D?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, that's what I meant. That was my question about that. And then my only other one was, thank you, Attorney Greenbaum, for some clarification. I do have a question. You said that we could speak freely during special meetings, but do not special meetings require an agenda? Therefore, we can't just talk about anything, right?
Well, it only makes sense that you would be discussing things that are noticed. Yes. I mean, you have the opportunity in your commission report, I guess, to go into areas that are not on the meeting agenda. You also have the ability to discuss, I guess, under new business, things that you want to see, you know, on the agenda in the future. But I think just following just, you know, standard rules of procedure, whether it's Robert's rules or otherwise, that whatever is posted on your agenda, you follow the agenda, you try to keep your comments and discussion limited to those agenda items. I mean, that's just the nature of the way it is. So I don't know the context of your question, but I hope that answers that.
Yeah, no worries. I'll look into it further. Don't. But thank you. That was
You're
all.
welcome. You're welcome.
So Brenda, you want me to verify that the T&D for the Main Street property had garbage requirements, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't know if they did or not. I can't remember.
You know, Brandy, to further clarify, this might help as well. Essentially, what you're trying to do in a public meeting is stick to an agenda that has been noticed. So yes, you can deviate, I guess, in your discussion from that agenda, but mostly what they're trying to do with those legislative enactments, what they're trying to do is just prevent you from, not you, but I mean the commission, the local government body, from doing things without the public knowing or having an opportunity to participate. And so the operative language that they always use is, decisions of significant public importance. So I imagine if during your discussion you said, oh, we need some more yellow highlighters. Yeah, okay, let's get some more yellow highlighters. Is that really a decision of significant public importance? Well, I mean, if you're not going to order, more than a dozen yellow highlighters, then perhaps it's really not that critical, right? But if you're going to contract for 10,000 yellow highlighters and a container load, that would be a contract, and that would be a decision of significant public importance. Again, I mean, that's why the safer way to play it is always stick to your agenda, make sure that you follow your agenda, post it as required, and make sure that anything that you're going to vote on or enact, pass, adopt, that it's published and it's in your public meeting packet. So, I go back to what I had said originally earlier at one of the other meetings about, your public meeting notice, having those links, and encouraging people to do that. I mean, that's what it's all about. Just trying to make it all readily available for everybody to participate and know.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. In mine, it was prepping for this, which included contacting MSU on term limits and how that works. And then what else was there? Was 2 Mondays that were holidays, and I have to say I rather enjoyed not being here and having 2 whole 2-day weekends. So that's not as productive either. So right now it's mostly the Reimagine Rural that I worked on Monday, along with the Lions Club was 3 hours. This report, and then contracting or getting a contract prepared for, or contacting Great West to get the contract prepared for your review for that, so that I can start setting up public hearings. So we will have to have the next meeting to begin with public hearing to update the water PER so that it matches for how we're going to approach our funding. And then after that, we'll hold another meeting, a public hearing in March regarding the MSEP funding. The more that you have increases your point system towards the application. So there'll be those 2. And 355 as well. So House Bill 355 is, they already have pre-allocated funds. And we have to hold a public hearing on how we would like to choose to use those funds. And it's been recommended by Public Works Director that we use it towards the new meters, because there are several that are outdated. And then that goes to radio read, which saves time. February 21st is the training. Lyndon's taking the start on that. I'm going to finalize the location and make arrangements for food and everything else. So in the morning, it'll be more towards planning board is the idea for land use. And then in the afternoon, the training on February 21st will be like local government introduction. I'll forward you the last email. I really need to get yours set up because there's the training now that there's new local government or new officials elected. There's a whole bunch of online training posts from the league. Also, because there's been a lot of in-house fun as far as like these applications that I don't like. MMIA has not been down in quite some time for HR, so Derek Shepard will be here January 22nd from 11 to 4, and all department heads have been asked to join as well for topics concerning like interviews, red flags, applications, how to rework them. There's ADA compliance that we're going to work on and how some of that. So it's basically all management style things. So he will give 3 1-hour presentations to department heads and myself. I have a separate hour for HR as well. So he'll be there from here until from 11 to 3, and then training for Rural Imagine begins at 4. So that'll be that day, so I won't hold any regular hours, like my regular 3 to 4 hours in the afternoon for public to come in on that day. That's pretty much all I got. Unscheduled matters. Items that need to be on the regular meeting on, it will be February 8th. Okay. Oh, anything you would like to have scheduled for the regular meeting on February 8th? That's the unscheduled matters, not listed for the current purpose of discussion.
Are we not having a work session this month?
We can, but whichever way you would like to do it. I was thinking a work session needs to be the 26th. So work session the 26th.
Friday.
Oh, darn it, 25th. You're right. Yeah, the work session.
I would like to see, or put up for discussion, just our legal counsel contract. For the work session, there's two agreements that are expired. We need unbiased legal counsel.
Anything else for work session? Okay, I'll put this draft. Let me meet with Mr. Green tomorrow morning. No information. might have the 18 on there. We, I guess, chose to apply for reimagine and adopted the water PER and its funding sources. We kind of went through the steps to say we're achieving if we want to go through these grants. See what I'm saying? So we never actually voted on anything to seek anything. You can't vote on a work session. So, and it's due on the 9th. I think I should prep it. Yeah. In voted item. You still can. Okay. But I think we should, in all fairness, if you're going to say that grants have to be pre-approved for application, then we should do that as well for that one. Okay. All right.
Was this stuff this one on the next agenda or the work session agenda? I'm sorry.
Work session. All right, claims.
A couple questions. Vehicle batteries, are they town or public works? Or do you know anything about that? What vehicles needed batteries? 361, 1000, 402, 100, 411, 880.
That is IT.
What are remote locks?
That's the locks on doors.
Oh, these batteries.
We do have our shop.
But this was not for those? It is for those, okay. I guess just a generalized gear for Ennis Auto Parts, what, $233? 430240.
Streets.
We had the power.
We broke rear sway bar bushings on the red.
And a power steering pump for the blue one.
Okay. And the ARPA funding that's going to Great West is
Grant administration.
just so we're contracting them to write our grants, essentially, right? Which is
Yeah,
what-
well, and they are administering the ARPA monies right now.
Oh, okay. I guess I just have a couple of questions about the attorney fees because I've never seen anything broken down previously. So is this something new that we're doing? Or are these fines on top of? Okay.
It helps that maybe it'll answer stuff for you beforehand or.
Mhm. Yep, no, I appreciate it. So in December, I guess I'm a little concerned about the $400 for the MOU for the sheriff's department. That was for records requests, that's it?
I'm sorry, that one I might have to physically look at.
I mean, I don't think the email was sent in December, so I don't think that would have been for time spent on that. So this was just the records request.
I think he did say he sent the records request December 22nd. Wasn't that what our attorney spoke about?
I think that's what he said.
It's the 26th.
Just,
Did you look at his actual invoice?
no, I didn't see it anywhere. Is that in the claims?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, did I not scroll? I might not, I thought I scrolled far enough, but. And I guess. Oh, in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sorry, I didn't go all the way to the back. I was just looking online and inquiring, so I should have looked in there before I.
Thanks, Craig.
Okay. Okay. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I'll dig further back next time.
Could I take a look at that just to see how those come in?
And then the dispatch is twice?
The what?
Twice a year, the dispatch for MCSO?
No, just once a year. It's an annual.
He says annual times 2, so I guess I'm concerned or
So they're
confused.
being presented.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that in the book on the line.
Okay, so these are these current ones.
Okay.
So Ginger, it says annual times 2, so I guess I was just confused.
Officers. It would be, yeah, times 2 officers.
Really?
Because it was a more this week for a million.
Okay, and we're sure that's prorated
Yes.
for dispatch? Okay.
It's actually this last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric, what's your carrying case for? I'm assuming this is you. USA Blue Book?
We have to purchase, every day we do pH testing and PO testing.
Don't have to look at them.
The meters we had finally ended their life. We had to purchase the meters for that. And that's a hard case
Okay.
surrounding that new meters, which was $2,500 meters.
Wow. Okay. And then the wastewater test supply, how often, how frequently is that a test? It is a monthly test?
Yep.
That's an expensive test.
$278.
2,000.
That.
Wastewater test supply. That's the meter itself. Okay.
So we test the pH of the DO. That's the first line of defense if something's going wrong in your.
Okay.
It's not really
Okay.
per DQs.
I think you walked me through it
Yeah.
down there. Okay. And then just one more time, the Valley Internet is for taking water bill payments online. Okay. One for water, one for sewer? Because there's 2 charges.
There's 2 charges for
Uh-huh. For $37.50.
$75.
Oh. Yes.
Per month.
Yeah, for some reason it's broken up into two
Oh,
payments.
I'm paying it out of 2 separate funds.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think that is all. Oh, so question on the remote locks, that 41188. Oh, you said that was IT, so that comes out of general fund or IT budget?
It's IT within the general.
Okay.
An account within the general fund.
Okay. I'll move to approve claims.
No. Second.
Any other just should have gone with that for discussion.
Yeah, sorry.
She was on a roll. She's like, I got all my questions prepared.
Call the question.
Okay. I don't remember where we're at. I think we're at you again.
Aye.
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 Palmerton,
Aye.
Aye. Move to adjourn.
she's first.
Second.
Right. Said I, yeah, okay. All right.
How are you doing? Fine, sitting over by your house.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Uh-huh.
I was gonna try and text her, just see how she was doing.
I tried texting her.
Oh,
and then I
you
found
didn't get it
out
earlier?
her cell phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not a problem.
Well, cause she gets back.
Johnway.
She's done in Antarctica now, isn't she? But she's in South Africa. I think she was going over South Africa.
I own a tackle shop.
Maybe that's.
I do. It owns me.
Oh.
Hanging out with Jane.
Yeah.
What's your?
Oh, okay.
Mitch.
Yeah, yeah. All my guys, like, keep the Ennis Pharmacy in business with one. Yeah.
Well, it is now, I guess.
I'm gonna start talking to
Sure.
planning and zoning, see what I can do off the front of my house.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
as far as how.
Yeah, no problem.
I have to go out there.
If he doesn't do it, it's not gonna.
What's a month?
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Holler if I can help in any way.
Silt dirt and
Yep.
blowing in over my sidewalk, over my yard. It's just, I need to put up our retaining wall.
Do we see these beforehand?
No.
So instead of removing road and putting one back in, they just piled shit on top. Now you have the whole town.
Well, it's at least a foot from that berm to where my front door is. That's building up. And so I'm just gonna start coming to these
Is it bad?
meetings.
You need to clean that.
I'm gonna have that, I have talked to Greg, he was gonna bring his bobcat over and see if he could just. Well, no, because I gotta do a whole excavating out there. I mean, I gotta make a plan to get this taken care of. Cause I was gonna have Pokey come and pour a slab on that front door that I would just keep. Yeah, no, don't, I don't want this. Cause this is in the yard, on, on my side. That's there. I need to pay attention to setbacks, what I can do.
You and me both. You and me, maybe I come with you.
Commissioner's card. Just know it. No. I don't want them putting a lien on my property because I thought I wanted to look at this. Lisa. Bye. Yeah, I'll see you next time.
It's a cheap sheet, so it's just a lot. It's cool G sheet. Great, thank you. Okay, I didn't know. Can't get too far, just go there. you've asked me about it several times.
Let alone maybe